Should you just blindly trust anybody just because they're coming from the United States or the UK? Hey, Jason, if you've been watching the channel, now 10 years in the game as an expat slash nomad, I am on my fourth country, third continent in Lusaka, Zambia, in the southern region of Africa. And now I'm starting to just share with you some of the tips and tricks I've learned along this 10-year journey. And also, if you're thinking about becoming an expat or already one, why you should start looking into the Zambia area in this southern region of Africa because of the opportunities that exist here, and the fact that the people speak English. Man, it is a lot easier in this region than most parts of the world if you've been a consistent traveler like I have. And so in today's video, I wanted to really talk about should you just blindly trust someone because they're coming from the United States or the UK or some of these so-called first world countries. One, I've been watching some videos on YouTube for a couple of days. One is a guy that I watched this in the Philippines, and he gives really good information, really interesting point of view. And then some are actually from different African women that are in different countries across the continent. And it was some of their responses to some of the passport bros that are now flooding certain parts of Africa. And I thought it was very interesting point of view, listening to everybody. And I didn't never really think about this because, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm very self-centered in what my goals are for me being on the continent. So I don't really get into a lot of the nonsense. But I do think some of these videos need to be made because not only the same energy that I put into trying to make sure to help anybody that's coming into the continent so they're not getting scammed, ripped off or anything like that, the same should be done to help people in the continent so they're not being taken advantage of also. And you may be like, Jason, why would someone come to the continent to take advantage of people? Like, I'm gonna be real with you. Of all the countries that I've traveled to in the world, even being at war, there's a lot of good people in this world. However, there are a few bad apples in this world too. And those bad apples, when you come across them, man, they tarnish your image of complete areas of whole groups of people. And it's not fair. And like I always tell a person, if you meet me, I'm one person, but don't think the next person who may come across you from the US is going to be the exact same as me. And one of the things that we don't talk about is not every guy who is in the travel space, who's expat or passport bro, whatever you want to call them, or whatever title they call themselves, they're not all good people. Just because someone comes from a quote unquote first world country, don't make them rich. It doesn't make them a great person. And sadly, what the guy in the Philippines was speaking of is there was a young Filipino woman who married somebody from actually Slovenia somewhere. I don't even know where that is. I think it's one of those Eastern European countries. I don't know. It's not even a place on my list to visit. And the guy unalived her. And it was sad because some of these countries, and it's not saying Africa, but some countries, some of these people are looking to get married. They're looking to find a person to help better their lives and to better their family lives. Yet some people come with ulterior motives. And you got to be careful of that. And like, I really want to hit home on that for not only just the ladies, but the guys out here also. Don't just go around trusting everybody just because they're from the United States or the UK or any other country. Especially don't think everybody's just rich. So one of the things like some of the sisters from the continent was saying about some of the passport bros in some of these countries, and it's funny to me, some of them lying about they worked with Lil Wayne, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. As an American, yes, you make you compare it to most other countries in the world, you make a great livable wage. If you're comparing dollars to kwacha, dollars to rand, dollars to whatever other currency, pesos, whatever. However, what people don't talk about is the United States is expensive. You're not paying the same price that you will pay in these other countries. The U.S. is expensive. It is very, very, very overinflated. Um, like let's say how the inflation here in Zambia, where a few years ago, what milli meal was like 135 kwacha. I think now it's over 300 kwacha. That is a huge inflation for people who are earning kwacha. And the same thing goes for the United States. Something that may have used to cost $3 probably now costs $9. That is very high inflation in the United States, on top of you're paying your rent, you're paying your light bill, all of these different things. Like here in Zambia, I average about $7 to $10 a month in rent for electricity. I mean, not rent, $7 to $10 a month for electricity. That gonna get you nothing in the United States. That's not even one day of electricity. My bill was averaged about $300 a month in the United States, and that was for a 4-bedroom house. Now you may be like, oh well, now you're in a 2-bedroom house, Jason. But at the end of the day, I was still averaging over $30 a day compared to now I'm $7-10 a month. Like, so when you see some of these people coming from these countries and they're just balling out of control, they're saving that money up the ball. And they're just being financially irresponsible. I'm gonna be honest with you. But they're saving that money up, and they understand like their money is multiplying when they come to these new countries. Like, why do you think like I decided to travel instead of staying in the United States when I saw how hard I was working just to pay bills? Like, I wasn't living the great life. Yeah, I was doing a yearly cruise. I was doing some vacations. I had a timeshare that I would go to every year. But at the end of the day, like, I wasn't representing the average American. Like, most people are not doing that. Most people, they're just getting their holidays off, and if they're able to just have a barbecue, they're fine. And this is one of the things that need to be talked about. Like, the average American is not rich. This whole thing of like the world is ruled by the 1%, that's everywhere, even in the US. Like, people are not just making money. It is not how the movies tell you. The cost of living inflation in the United States is one of the highest in the world. It's insanely crazy. Like, you talk to people in New York City and ask them about how much they rent for rooms, or if you get like a decent sized place, it's not just the size of a closet. Like, the things that they pay there, even now, Texas, which used to be a very affordable state, the price of rent is like getting out of hand, especially if you want to live in a safe area without too much violence or too much issues. Um, the things that we pay for in the United States, being in semi-safe areas, like if we brought that here in Zambia, you can probably be living next to the president or members of parliament. Like, that's the thing that they're not telling you about. And so don't just trust people based off their culture or background, or where they're coming from, or what their accent is. Start looking at people's actions. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, like every guy, like there's a new thing with this travel industry, travel market out here. The travel market used to mainly be retired military, because most Americans didn't travel back in the day. It's a very new thing to see Black men traveling. And that's what I'm telling you, like most travelers back in the day were retired military. It wasn't like now how you getting all these younger people that are working digital nomads doing this, that are traveling. This is a new phenomenon. And so really start looking at people's actions, especially if you're a woman. And I know my videos are more geared towards protecting women, but I feel like as a Black man, that's part of my job. And so as a woman, like, don't just go blindly trust these guys. Don't just be going to people's houses. And I'm talking about Americans, people from the diaspora. Like, don't just trust everybody like that. While I was in Colombia, I met some of the biggest crooks in my life. And it was funny because I was talking to a buddy of mine like about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, yo, is that crook still in Colombia? He was like, nah, he disappeared. Nobody know where he at now. And we're talking about this guy was such a horrible person. His own mother, because he shared the story, his own mother, when she was on her last days living, did not allow him to come, because he was in Colombia when it happened. And giving the sob. Oh man, my mom, my family, they're so wrong to me. They won't even let me come see her last days, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, he was from the same state as I. And I'm like, I know Texas people. And when one thing about Texas people, when you do something that's very, to the level of offensiveness or where people are just fed up with you, they're fed up with you. Texans are some of the nicest people in the world. But once we're tired of you, we're done with you. And I was like, I didn't never let him know where I was from, nothing like that, because I didn't trust him. And this same guy, I warned my friend, I was like, hey, don't do any business with the guy. Don't trust this guy. I'm like, I've heard him. I've seen his actions. I watch how he moves around. I was like, don't trust this guy. But at the end of the day, I'm not in your pocket. It's not my job to keep warning you. And he gave the guy a chance, warned, did some business with him here and there. And then about 2 or 3 months later, he like, this MF, this SOB. And I just had to remind him, like, bro, I warned you. I told you this wasn't a good dude. I told you something about this guy did not sit right with me. And mind you, I was an analyst in the military. So I'm like, I'm not coming from a place of jealousy or envy, nothing like that. I'm like, I've been watching his behavior and his patterns, and I'm like, something's not right with him. Everything about him tell me he's a hustler from Texas. This is what I tell people, like, it don't matter what language you speak of. Hustlers have the same actions no matter where you are in the world. And that's how I'm able to get around a lot easy. Like I look at people's actions. You can be telling me all you want. Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a godly person, this and that. Oh, I love my wife, this, that. And then I guarantee you, these sometimes are the same people. Hey, let's go out and have a drink. Back when I used to go out and drink, they in the bar. Oh, they over talking to this woman, touching on this woman. And I'm like, you really are a godly person. Oh, you really love your wife, huh? Don't you? And so judge people by their actions. Don't just listen to people's words. Judge them by their actions. Like the fruit of your labors is based off your actions. Like be careful out here because the continent is going to start seeing more and more people traveling here. And I don't want these few bad people tarnishing the reputation of the rest of us who's really coming here with good intentions. Those of us who are coming here that want to better our lives. Because at the end of the day, any business, everything that I open up here, it's not only going to better my life, my future kids' life, but it's going to be benefiting people on the continent also. Like with me doing the tiny homes housing project that I'm starting to build up. The goal is to get to 100 tiny homes. So when the day comes that I'm no longer here, my offspring, there's 100 homes of income that's coming in each and every month for them. Something to leave behind for them to be able to manage. But it's not just going to benefit them. It's making affordable housing also. Like I've already said that I'm going to cap the houses out at maybe just 1,000 kwacha a month, which I think is about $40 a month. Because, for me, like with my pension alone, I'm able to live the rest of my life very comfortable. So like I don't have to be forced to be focused on, oh, I need to build this so I can eat. I'm eating fine. And like think about it, like, and for any Zambian out there, like let people know, like if you're able to be in a fully self-contained house, not just a bed sitter. I'm talking about a full self-contained house, something that's nice, proper, in a safe area, like, and you're paying just 1,000 kwacha a month. How much could you save? Like when you're ready to build your family, when it's time for you to build your family, you'll be able to buy your own land. You'll be able to build your own house. Like one of the things I'm looking at here in Lusaka is housing is so overpriced and out of market. It's forcing things that shouldn't be forcing. Like a lot of these unnatural laws are existing. Like how many people are in relationships because of financial need? They're not even in relationships because they love one another or truly want to be with one another. Most of us, they just need each other so they can survive and live on their own, live together. And that's some of the things that we have to stop this. But like we can't depend on corporations or other entities to do it. Like someone has to start doing it with good intentions, and that's my goal. And so just wanted to share that with you today. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. Just be careful, man, especially the ladies out there. Be careful. Every guy is not coming with good intentions. Every guy is not coming with a bunch of money. Don't just listen to what people saying. People dropping a bunch of names and all of this, like they're probably lying to you. Like I could be dropping so many names here of people that I know, areas I'm from, things of this nature, and I don't. Like I'm not even gonna go into details about it. Just be cautious. Be cautious, because everything that glitter isn't gold, and there's a lot of pyrite walking around here that's masquerading itself as gold. So just be cautious of that. And just remember this, I'm Jason, and success is simple once you know how.